polls here in South Carolina will close at 7 p.m. tonight, and soon thereafter, we will see the results from some of the state's top races, including here in the Lowcountry. I talk one-on-one with Post and Courier columnist Brian Hicks for his analysis on these races for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook.
Brian Hicks, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
It's good to be here. Good to see you.
I appreciate it greatly. Well, everyone knows who you are.
I certainly hope not.
And I know that you have been extremely busy lately, and obviously today is election day. So when you look at the races around the state, and certainly here in the Lowcountry, what would be that newspaper headline for you?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know. It's so, I mean, it's all over TV. We got all the ads, and everybody's sick of the mailers and all that. But as far as a big headline, I don't know that there's going to be any surprises. I mean, I guess that's why there's surprises. But I don't know that much is going to change in South Carolina.
And let me take you to one of those hotly contested races, obviously. This is coming from WCSC. It's the first congressional race. They said this, Channel 5, both Representative Nancy Mace and Dr. Andy Andrews are giving a final message to voters. One representative says she's interested in being the independent voice who works hard to represent and put the Lowcountry first, while the other says she's interested in solving problems and bringing honesty and integrity back to the seat. So what will voters choose? Who will the voters choose when it comes to that independent voice that they need in Congress right now and actually put the Lowcountry first?
That's pretty funny. The independent voice in Congress, I think, was a Joe Cunningham line a few years ago. And now I'm assuming that was Nancy Mace who said that.
Right. Yes, sir.
I honestly think that that the way the first district is now, the legislature probably fixed it to where it's going to be very difficult for a Democrat to win that. I mean, the early word was that it was a 17-point Republican advantage, which is like what the upstate districts are fixed to be. And I don't know that that Dr. Andrews can overcome that. She might have been able to had they not cut all of Charleston out of the district, but they got rid of the entire peninsula and all of West Ashley, save for James and Johns Island.
Right.
So that took a lot of independent voters out of the mix, and I think that makes it a really sharp uphill climb for Andrews.
And I want to talk to you about that in just a moment, because that's one of my questions for you. But what problems does voters actually want from the other candidate to solve while they're bringing honesty and integrity back to the seat in Congress?
I don't know what voters want. They probably want low gas prices, and they don't want inflation. Oddly enough, you haven't heard a whole lot of that talk. It's been culture war issues and stuff like that. It's been kind of hard to cover, to tell you the truth.
And okay, let me just jump right into it. So how is inflation actually affecting the first congressional district right now?
Well, price of groceries are up. Price of gas is back down. And everything, goods and services, you try to do home repairs, anything, just come out and check on your air conditioning, because we still need air conditioning in November for some reason. All of these things, you know, things are going up, things are costing more, there's more demand. And, you know, I could make the argument, you know, the Republicans want to pin it on the Democrats. I actually think it's, you know, lingering effects of the pandemic more than it's any political policies. But it's a strong argument to make. I mean, the Republicans have done well in that. Think about 1980 when they ran Carter out of office. I mean, it was inflation, it was crime, and even though crime is down, the perception of it is up. So those are good things to talk about, and yet they were talking about transgender kids, which is a very minor. I'm not dismissing it as an issue. It just does not seem to be something that affects everybody's life.
And I know speaking of things affecting their lives, you talked about it earlier, but where is exactly the crime right now in the 1st Congressional District, and what should be their plan to combat that?
I don't know. I think they're still talking about the riot on King Street, which was,
3 years ago.
3 years ago, one night. That's just, I don't know, that's one of those things that gets drilled into people's heads, that crime is so bad. And I looked at the FBI crime stats not too long ago, and crime is actually down. Maybe people just hear more about it because, it gets plastered all over the internet, which, the internet's good for your business and my business, but I'm not real sure that it's the best thing that ever happened because it allows a lot of baloney to get spread.
Okay, so what else baloney is being spread in this race, the 1st Congressional District race?
Oh, wow. If you're going to pin it down to the 1st district race. I don't know. I mean, did they fight about anything other than the transgender kids? I mean, there was some stuff because Dr. Andrews is a gun control advocate, and Nancy Mace, made her big deal on, against any regulation or most regulations of guns, and even, was seen with a gun holster on her hip a couple of times.
Yes, right.
Which, is fine. She has to get back in good with the right wing, that she kind of fell out with them early in her term. But they really didn't have much else to fight about. I mean, they argued about abortion some, right? And despite the rhetoric you heard, they're not, well, they are far apart. Mace, but Mace is, the far right would see Mace as, heretic because she is for, exceptions.
So, where has the honesty and integrity been in this particular race?
I don't want to say anyone's lacking in integrity. I don't think Mace should have attacked MUSC. That was the only thing that I saw that was really kind of out of bounds, and I don't think Andrews has said anything that was too far out of bounds. I don't know that there's been a lack of integrity, just a lot of nastiness.
In your many years of covering politics, I haven't covered it that long, just 10 years in Quintin's process, but have you seen this type of nastiness?
Yeah, I might be hard pressed to tell you when it was, but there's an overall tone of nastiness that has sort of gripped the country since Trump came onto the scene. That's now, I don't know. It's like a quality. It's like something that people look for. In calling people names and making it okay to attack people. There's the whole joke about the Senate, and they would do this in politics too. They would say, "My good friend, the gentleman from wherever," and he would really be calling you an SOB. And but he would do it in a nice way. Well, now that's off. For some people, the attraction is being mean to the other side, and so that's how I've looked at the 1st district race. It's just been a reflection of where society is, unfortunately. Kind of nasty, and a little more sharp.
And let's move a couple of miles up the road here, I-26. I'm looking at it in my mind, but let's go to Columbia. What is the reflection right now that you see from the gubernatorial race between obviously Democrat Joe Cunningham and incumbent governor, Republican Governor Henry Baxter?
I'm taking way too long here. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I was just talking to somebody not too long ago. I was a little surprised. Henry's had some pretty sharp, pretty negative campaign ads, and I didn't understand exactly why he would do that. I don't think he needed to do that to win. One of the things about Governor McMaster, and Democrats and Republicans alike will tell you this, he's a pretty nice guy. Everybody kind of likes him. And even if they don't agree with him on everything. And those ads ads were not in keeping with that, with, you know, who he is.
Okay.
And somebody was asking me why did he feel the need to do that? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I think that the Republican Party as a whole, their strategy for this year, which I didn't understand, I would have campaigned on inflation, but I think inflation might be a little boring. Mm-hmm. So they have to beat the culture war drums, and they're trying to stir up people to get them out to vote because they're afraid they wouldn't in a midterm. And I think that's what it's all about. I don't think it's an accurate reflection of who some of these candidates are.
Is that a reflection when it comes to the state superintendent of education race with Republican Ellen Weaver and Democrat Lisa Ellis?
No, I think Weaver's just mean. Oh. Mean was the wrong word. I was just trying to be funny. She worked for Jim DeMint's think tank. Right? Their whole thing is to privatize public education and dismantle it. She said just the other day that she thinks we ought to stop taking federal money so we don't have to follow federal rules to protect certain children. Who runs to be superintendent of schools to not protect children? And they're going to tell you it's all about, you know, some kind of Title IX thing, and it goes back to transgender kids. But make no mistake, the end game is to defund public schools and give you $3,000 to try to go to a $12,000 a year private school that doesn't even have the room for you. And so, yeah, I think that's just you know, Jim DeMint stuff. I've never been a big fan.
Oh, I know you haven't. It's been documented. But let me ask you this. Do you feel that this particular idea that they have to try to privatize public education, which is a local issue with school board race here, by the way, I'm going to get to that in a second, but do you feel like that's going to, how do you feel, or how do you think the legislature will push back on that?
There are some people in the legislature who would probably agree with that. Now, I don't know that they like to make a lot of noise, and they like to keep their base happy. Mm-hmm. But turning down free money, that's not something they do an awful lot. They did it to avoid expanding Medicaid. But I don't think they're going to take money they're getting from the federal government for education now and say, you know what, let's give that back. I don't think they want that because, you know, there's still a lawsuit that's open about equitable funding, about, you know, providing a minimally adequate education, which is the greatest term ever for South Carolina. And I don't really know that it goes anywhere. But it's one of those things that people of a certain ilk want to campaign on. And, you know, it all comes down to we don't want to pay education taxes, and we want you to subsidize our kids going to private schools, which, you know, if we had enough private schools and they were paying them full load, that'd be one thing. But, you know, they've already taken school taxes off of residential property. And, you know, this is just another step in that process.
What other steps do you foresee with this debate of this issue?
Well, I don't know. I think I think they're in the end game now. I think this, you know, getting rid of the federal funding would pretty much wreck it. And, you know, they're using silly arguments to make about protecting kids. I thought that was, you know, pretty bad.
What should be the argument about the future of education for students in South Carolina?
What should be the argument? They should be improving schools. And if I knew how to improve schools, I wouldn't be writing for the newspaper. I would have a lot more money. And I don't know. They should be looking at the Meeting Street schools and duplicating their success. And that's the sort of thing that is showing real results. And it's not about spending more money. You might have to do that. But it's about results. It's about putting the resources to education that you need. And that's hard work, and it's not real sexy politics. Easier just to, you know, pick on kids going to the wrong bathroom or something.
What do you see as the future of the Charleston County School Board? Because now that all 9 seats are up for obviously election, and two of them, the two incumbents, Helen Davis Frazier and Courtney Waters, are running for re-election. What do you see as the future of the Charleston County School Board?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the candidates. We're going to have a lot of newbies, a lot of freshmen, who are not going to understand how that district works. I'm not sure anybody understands how that district works. So they're going to have their challenges. The other thing that nobody seems to know, and I'm talking about the political types that I talk to around the county, nobody's really sure what these districts are going to produce. Until now, school board members were elected at large.
That's right.
And it creates a whole different dynamic. If you look like Chris Collins, who used to be on the school board, and he's running again at North Charleston District. Well, when Collins was on the school board, a few years ago, whenever that was, it might have been 10, time's funny now. Collins wouldn't really win his district. There would be other candidates that would get more votes in his neighborhood, in his area. But he would win by picking up a lot of support in West Ashley, places like that. Well, now, I think the same was true for
Holly Shea?
I was going to say Cindy Coates.
Cindy Coates, yeah.
She had a lot of support that was not in North Charleston.
Right.
And so now that you can only vote on one school board candidate, that's right, and only in that district, that's going to change everything around, and nobody is sure what to expect. I mean, that's what we're waiting on the results for. It's going to be interesting.
Yes, sir. And I know for certain she's not going to be running again for the school board. And of course, this past summer she ran for state superintendent of education, but lost that. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think will be the local issues for that particular school board?
Oh wow, I have no idea. I'm not supposed to say that on camera. I think they're going to. I'm afraid, depending on who gets elected, they're going to just wallow in this, culture war stuff about banning books in libraries and what you can teach, and going on about this critical race theory, nonsense, which I've said in print. What you mean is civil rights history. Critical race theory is a legal theory. They don't teach that. I mean, it's bad enough trying to get kids to remember dates. You're not going to teach them legal theory in middle school. But that seems to be what everybody wants to argue about because it's the easy argument. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like you ask how to fix schools. That's a hard discussion. But I don't like that book. That's an easy discussion. Mm-hmm. And that's the one that I'm afraid they will get bogged down in. Mm. And of course, then they'll come up with another plan, to fix schools with a new name and throw a bunch of money at it. And nobody will know what that means, and then the parents will come in. That's pretty much all you have to do with the Charleston County School Board. Get 200 parents to show up at 75 Calhoun. Whatever they've got planned is out the window.
So, when it comes to this critical race theory, Brian, what should for instance, those Mom for Liberty and Republican candidates, what should they be arguing about in the first place?
I don't know. I think they have been stirred up by bad actors in social media, in cable news, and I think there was some incident on James Island at a school with substitute doing something, and they make this out to be like this huge thing. And I got an email from somebody the other day saying that they were bringing strippers into classrooms to teach pole dancing. It's like, what? It's the same thing with they got kids identifying as cats and using litter boxes. It's baloney. And the fact that these people get caught up in it, it's really scary for politics, for the country. And I said something about this in one of the columns, and I even had one of the moms from Liberty from another town say, "Hey, don't associate us with those Charleston people." But that's not helping anybody. It's not doing anything. I spoke to a convention of teachers the other week about civil rights history, and they want to teach that, and they're scared. There are these great stories that South Carolina made great contributions to the civil rights movement, and some of these teachers are afraid to teach it, and because they're afraid it's going to set somebody off. And I don't think that's what we need to be fighting about. I don't think teaching kids is indoctrinating, and but that's sort of what it's become.
As far as the students, what should they be teaching these kids right now?
Well, now here's where I'll sound like a Republican. They should be teaching, reading, writing, arithmetic, history. You know what else they need to be teaching them? Civics. I actually saw the other day one of these nuts who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. His legal defense was that he didn't know there was a House and a Senate, and not sure, what difference that makes. But his ignorance of how government works is not an excuse. I mean, how they say ignorance of the law is an excuse. They ought to be teaching kids that how government works, how to get involved. That's just my own pet peeve because that's where I'm at. They don't teach it as much as they should. But yeah, basically they should just be teaching the basics.
And speaking of the House and Senate, let me go back to the 1st Congressional District. What should the Democrats and obviously Republicans' plan be to actually fight inflation here in the Lowcountry?
Again, another one of those things. If I knew that, I wouldn't be working with it. I don't know. You notice I don't write about that much. I don't. Not a big economics theorist.
Okay.
But I don't know. I wish I did.
So let me ask you this. What should be Andrew's stance right now leading up to 7 p.m.? And what should be Nancy's, Congresswoman Mason's stance leading up to 7 p.m. tonight on these issues?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not giving anything here.
No worries.
I don't know. They should get out and lay out their vision for the country because everything has sort of been nationalized. And honestly, I don't know.
And for everyone's information, a spokesperson for Nancy Mason's Washington office sent me an email a couple of weeks ago saying this as following. After I requested to do an interview with Congressman Mason for Quintin's close-up, he said this, quote, "Hi, Quintin, thanks for reaching out. At this time, we will have to decline this request." And of course, you can see my interview, one-on-one interview with Dr. Annie Andrews on Quintin's close-up as well.
Well, I think you're going to see more of that. That's another great thing about social media is that a lot of political figures feel they can bypass the media. They used to need TV, newspapers, folks like us to help get their message out. And now they can go directly to them with Facebook or Instagram and Twitter. And I think you're going to see more of that. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, we never got a chance to interview X candidate. I said, I'm not sure you could have. And that's a sad commentary on where we're going. It's all spin, and you lose something in that. The media, for whatever problems we might have, at least we were, an objective, kind of a moderator on politics, and now you're not getting that so much. You're just getting direct feed of whatever they want to tell you with their spin on it, of course.
What else would you expect next after this particular midterm election? What do you expect to see in 2024 and 2025, nationally and regionally?
I don't know. We're in uncharted territory here. I don't know how long it would last. I would say that you're going to see nationally the Republicans do okay. I don't know if they take the Senate or not, but they probably take the House. And I would think that 2 years of investigating, Hunter Biden and whatever other crazy things they've been promising will probably wear out their welcome pretty quickly, especially if nothing changes in terms of the economy.
Okay.
But I have no clue. This is really kind of strange. I don't know what we're going to see in a presidential election or what else. It would be fun if we were watching a movie. Unfortunately, this has direct impact on our lives, and it's kind of scary. So I don't know. And anything I predict is probably going to be wrong.
And I was trying to get one of the Republican spokesperson or allies to come on, but I couldn't get any of them. Maurice Washington, Charleston County Republican Party, any of them. So hopefully he'll come on soon.
He's got to be careful what he says. They're really infighting over there at the county Republican Party, and I think part of what you've seen from Congresswoman Mace in this election has been an attempt to win back some of those people who were mad at her after January 6th. I don't think she needed to do some of the things she did to win in a district that is drawn to a Republican advantage, and don't think that she normally would have, but I think that maybe, there was some playing up to the base in a general election, which looked really weird. But I think that's what you had to do because, she was elected and they all loved her, and then January 6th happened and she had the temerity to say that, coups weren't good, and apparently with some people that's okay, so they were ready to throw her out for her first month in office, and I think she's been fighting a little bit ever since.
Do you think she'll survive that tonight?
I think so. I don't see how that district, if you take the precincts, the district didn't exist until this year, right? But if you take those precincts in that first district and look at it, Trump would have won that district by 8 points, which means that a more normal candidate, Republican candidate, should probably win it by more than that. So that's a big hill for Andrews to climb. And if she does, I think it's going to, I don't know, I think it's going to say something. Because everybody I'm talking to in both parties, they don't think that the 2020 census was great. I mean, it was late. The White House was messing with them politically. There was a pandemic going on. So nobody's really sure how accurate it is and how the districts got drawn. If the sort of data mining that they do when they're drawing these districts to figure out how each precinct votes and how it does, I'm not sure how well they were able to do that. So, I talked to a bunch of people with the county today. They have no idea what these county districts are in breakdown. They got some idea, but they're not confident, and I'm not confident either in anything.
Brian Hicks with the Postal Courier, thank you for your time again. Welcome back to Quintin Us.
Good to have you for all the good it did.